In Florida, I can sell you a gun on the street and it's completely legal. How are you going to keep track of all these guns that people are just selling and trading between themselves?
Welcome to Sarasota, Florida, home to Siesta Key, the #1 beach in the United States of America. It's also home to more guns than you can possibly imagine. And we're gonna go shoot them, talk about their laws, and get ready to blow the shit out of everything. Every year, there are over 30,000 gun deaths in the United States, a country with 5% of the world's population and 50% of its guns. The almost unfathomable national tragedy that happened on December 14th was the latest and most horrific example in a string of mass shootings that have occurred in the United States over the past 30 years. And this time, there will almost certainly be a massive legislative shift on the national level. How wide-sweeping it will be remains to be seen. I was born and raised in Florida, and based on my years of experience trolling around with some of its most interesting, valiant, and despicable residents, I can assure you that many wholly sensible and productive Floridians of all stripes own guns. And yeah, a lot of scumbags have them too. One of the good guys is Philadelphia native Eddie Cacciola, a 32-year-old former Marine. Eddie moved to Florida 5 years ago. Before that, he served as a combat engineer during the first wave of Operation Iraqi Freedom.
It was pretty scary. They were shooting Scud missiles over our heads, just lobbing them. Mm-hmm. No direction they were blowing up before. They probably blew up more of themselves than us.
Following President Obama's 2008 defeat of Republican nominee John McCain, many firearms dealers in Florida and throughout the nation reported a massive uptick in background checks for concealed carry permits, a clear indicator that gun sales were spiking nationally. The stockpiling also resulted in an ammo shortage. By February 2009, the Orlando Sentinel reported that 9mm, 45 caliber, 38 caliber, and 22 caliber bullets were becoming scarce. They also reported that local Walmarts in Apopka and Kissimmee had confirmed that these types of ammo were on back order. We're outside Survive Anything. Inside, you will find everything you need to survive earthquakes, which, as far as I know, have never happened in Florida, zombies, which again, as far as I know, have never happened in reality, and an assortment of other apocalyptic scenarios that you need to prepare for.
People are more concerned about the elections. People are very concerned about what Obama's going to do, what Romney was going to do, what they have done in the past.
A 2009 Gallup poll reported that as many as 41% of Americans believe that Obama would, quote, attempt to ban the sale of guns in the United States while he is president, as in all guns.
Preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
So help you God?
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
The day after, I went out just to see, the availability of stuff. There was people in and out of there with bags of anything they could grab. And then I stopped at a local gun shop, the Bullet Hole. And about every fifth person that walked in there was talking about how they're coming to take all of our guns. And
I just think it's a big election scare, and it happens every 4 years. And people get worried about what could happen.
Thanks a lot.
No problem.
Have a good day.
You too.
I think we should probably get out of here. Apparently, Walmart gets freaked out when you try to buy over 2,000 rounds of ammo at one time. So we went with the next best and more expensive option, visiting one of Sarasota's many gun stores.
It started between a partnership. We actually put a patent on a 100-round drum magazine to fit a Glock pistol, and we were marketing gun shows. These used to only fit dual-feed AR-15s, AK-47s. We converted it so it'll fit a Glock. Changed some inside parts, different housing. The first part you're going to see, it's in a chassis system called a Roni.
Well, that's impressive.
You'll see a second fire sequence, and that's just in the Glock pistol alone. Naturally, those are not available to civilians.
I would imagine.
I don't sell them. Can't sell them, won't do anything with them.
But you have the patent.
On the drum.
On the drum. Have people been buying more ammo or more guns than normal? Or
There's an increase in sales in both.
Yeah. And why do you think that is?
Personal protection, fear of maybe, I don't know, government regulation, banning weapons, banning certain types of weapons, banning ammunition, taxing it. People are stockpiling it, people are buying it.
Why would someone buy that weapon?
Long distance shooting, competition, it's just fun to shoot.
How far will that go?
At 1.5 miles, a 50 round has got more punch than a 44 mag does, 6 inches from your chest.
At a
At 1.5 miles.
Well, thanks so much, John.
No problem.
I left a few boxes out in Unit 5.
So 2 Walmarts, 1 gun store later, we got all of our needs for today. Walmart was pretty accommodating, but every time you go, it's a kind of a crapshoot, right? I mean, like...
Yeah, sometimes they'll have everything you need, and that's when you got to buy it up. Other times, you got to buy something you don't want.
Let me go through a little bit what we got here. Federal, which is a 9mm Luger.
Then we got a couple boxes of 45 Federal, some 410 handgun, shotgun shells, big box of 45 Auto, 250 round count.
Rifle slugs for the shotguns, MagTech, Cowboy action loads.
And 1,000 rounds of 223. This is for the AR.
How many people are we shooting with?
4 and then some.
Beautiful fall Florida day, hot as shit. The federal assault weapons ban was passed under the Clinton administration in September 1994. Sunset provisions set the ban to expire in 2004. And it did.
From my cold, dead hands.
Since then, lawmakers like Senator Dianne Feinstein of California and Congresswoman Carolyn McCarthy of New York have attempted to institute revised versions of the ban. Did you do anything for Veterans Day?
No, try not to do too much.
Try to relax?
Yeah, figured it's my day, I don't have to do shit.
Yep. So with several thousand rounds of ammunition loaded into Eddie's truck, we headed to a local range on the outskirts of Sarasota. And this is where you shoot usually?
Yeah, it's convenient. I like shooting outdoor. I don't really feel comfortable in the indoor ranges.
Why is that? It's just constricting kind of?
It's that, and there's a lot of new people, and there's just a lot of safety that goes into it that people just have no clue. You don't want to be in close quarters with somebody that doesn't know what they're doing.
Do you ever go hunting?
No. Deer doesn't taste that good, and it's kind of boring hunting something that's not going to shoot back at you. Designed as a 5.22. It's basically 5.6 with the swiping uses over there. It's a training version of it. It weighs the same. It has a fake suppressor. It has a collapsible stock.
Big Nick, one of the guys we shot with, he had a pretty nice AR-15. He bought it at a garage sale. That's pretty standard practice here in Florida. No real paperwork was exchanged as far as I know, and he got the gun for cash. Brought it home, it was about half price. And we just shot it here all day today. That's how easy it is to get a gun in Florida. What types of weapons are illegal in Florida?
We have certain categories that you have to have certain permits for. I've got a suppressor on a gun on a wall. You have to fill out a form. It goes to ATF. It's a $200 tax stamp. They do a background check. They send you the stamp. You're allowed to own it.
Okay. And what are some of the other classifications, like a Class 3 license? Like, what would that mean?
Well, fully automatic machine guns, fully automatic weapons, it's a whole different license. Transferring those weapons, there's regulations for all of that stuff. And those regulations are pretty stringent, and they are enforced.
Everybody in Florida owns an assault rifle. If you try and send the National Guard in, we outnumber them. And the National Guard is not going to come into our house and take our guns away.
I've always wondered why it is so difficult to get a group of people in Washington to sit down. Maybe hook up with some people from the NRA and set up districts and set gun laws that are made by gun owners and people in the firearms industry. Those laws would work.
When freedom shivers in the cold shadow of true peril, it's always the patriots who first hear the call.
In 2004, the Department of Justice released an assessment of the decade-long ban that said if the ban were to be reinstated at a future date, its effects on gun violence are likely to be small at best and perhaps too small for reliable measurement. The report also stated that assault weapons were rarely used in gun crimes even before the ban. A dissenting study carried out by the Brady Center for Gun Control alleged that data provided by the ATF showed that the number of violent crimes in which assault weapons were used dropped from 4.82 to 1.61% during the ban. An ATF spokesperson later said that his organization could in no way vouch for the validity of that claim. John is one of Florida's approximately 7,000 federal firearms license holders. The process for obtaining an FFL and what types of weapons can be bought and sold by those who are issued them is largely defined by 1938's Federal Firearms Act and the Gun Control Act of 1968. The ATF issues and oversees licensing criteria for dealers, pawnbrokers, and other people who have legitimate business with guns. But the agency's oversight largely stops at the licensee's counter.
Well, first things first, when you open a store up, ATF gives you the first right to decline a sale to any individual for any reason. We practice that here. We've turned gun sales down because of something that we just sensed. The person that acts skittish when he's filling out the questions and asking you a lot of technical things on it and checks yes to one of the blocks, not happening here. Somebody that comes in to try to buy a weapon and you know the gun's not for them because the boyfriend's standing right there and he's picked out the gun and he wants this but she wants to fill the form out, totally illegal, not happening here. The kid that walked in here had his hat turned on backwards, had all the jewelry on, and decided to grab one of the shotguns and wheel it around on his hip and act like, say hello to my little friend, and I gotta have one of these. Well, not happening here.
After me and the boys exhausted most of our ammunition, we packed up the weapons and drove to Sarasota Trap, Skeet, and Clays, about a half-mile down the road.
Stand you're supposed to shoot. We'll have a menu at each stand that tells you what you're supposed to do.
Shortly after arriving at the range, we were joined by Eddie's 12-year-old son, Sean.
Sean, yes. You want to load some pockets off with these?
He came to spend some quality shooting time with his dad, an American pastime older than playing catch in the front yard. So with this shooting, it's better to keep kind of both eyes open, some people?
Yeah. Some people say that on the Skeet and Trap, it's better to keep both eyes open, opposed to, I mean, you couldn't shoot an AR with both eyes open.
Of course.
Load it up here. And watch your fingers. You don't put your fingers all the way, just kind of let it in there. And that'll ride it where it's supposed to be.
I mean, he's known about guns and the safety rules probably 5 years prior to him ever picking one up and shooting one. So if the guns are there and he's there, the sooner I teach him about the safety, the better off I'd be.
Sean, as it turned out, was a crack clay shooter. I shuddered at the thought of how accurate Sean might be behind an AR-15. imagining a future with remote-controlled drone soldiers piloted by preteen sharpshooters.
He's a good shot.
Bull? Smell of gunpowder. Nice. In between stations, I finally got a chance to speak with Steve, the 5th member of our party and a former Army medic. Where were you deployed?
Baghdad.
You treat a lot of gunshot injuries, or?
Most of the stuff we got was a lot of tourniquets, limbs from outside the wire and everything.
Since you came back from your deployment, did it change your appreciation for weapons at all?
No, not at all. I always loved weapons. My dad was Special Forces. He taught me at a young age about shooting, and before I can own my own, he gave me a couple books I had to read. And
are there any aspects of the law that you think are a bit overreaching or like underreaching?
Probably not too bad.
Yeah.
I mean, if as long as you go the proper paperwork and right way.
On January 16th, Obama announced 23 executive orders he could enact without congressional approval in an effort to curb gun violence and reinforce existing firearms laws. These actions include signing a presidential memorandum that requires federal agencies to make relevant firearms purchasing data available to the federal background check system, launching a national safe and responsible gun ownership campaign, providing schools with resource officers and counselors, and instituting more severe penalties for gun trafficking.
As soon as I'm finished speaking here, I will sit at that desk and I will sign a directive giving law enforcement, schools, mental health professionals, and the public health community some of the tools they need to help reduce gun violence.
High Noon, like many other gun shops in the state, offers concealed weapon permit certification classes. They are overseen by Tom Dussault, a local police officer, former Marine, and private military contractor.
Well, essentially, the state of Florida requires that you take an NRA-approved course, but what a lot of the instructors are lacking is the, say, for lack of a better term, the real-life experience when it comes to being involved in a confrontational situation. You look at the weapons and how other people perceive them, and that's what it is, it's perception. I mean, when you have a list of people, politicians, whatever the case may be, picking weapons to put on an assault weapons ban list just because they look evil.
You can make anything look badass. Some have a wooden stock, some have a composite stock. Obviously the composite stock looks like somebody's coming to hurt you, and the other one reminds me of my grandfather's rifle.
Does that make it a war type or assault weapon? Not really, it's a design. After the first election, when Obama was elected, I was teaching concealed weapons classes in the state of Florida. A big class prior to the election was 8 to 10 people.
Okay.
After the election, I was having, every time I walk in there, it was 25 to 30 people. The people run in panic. They feel the restrictions are coming. They come out and they buy a large number of firearms, and then they just put them in a safe. They don't carry them, they don't use them, they just buy them.
James Holmes walked into a theater. Holmes was heavily armed and opened fire. 20-year-old Adam Lanza, who died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. This was the work of a lone wolf.
On the Saturday following the shooting of 28 people at an elementary school in Newtown, Connecticut, Virginia State Police processed 4,166 background checks for concealed and assault-type weapons, a 42% increase from the same Saturday in 2011. On the same day, Colorado, a state still reeling from a string of recent shootings, also processed 4,200 background checks, the highest number since the program began in 1999. The fallout resulting from the shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary has led to a 19% rise in background checks nationwide. According to the FBI, approximately 2.78 million background checks were recorded in the month of December 2012 alone. That's a 39% rise from the previous month. In recent years, there has been much renewed attention paid to some of the more nebulous aspects of many states' gun laws. Particular attention has been paid to what is called the Stand Your Ground law, the guiding principle behind Stand Your Ground being that any person in public, if they feel as if their life has been threatened, has the right to shoot that threat dead on the spot, without any duty to retreat. Stand Your Ground became a household phrase following an incident in Florida in which the threat in question was an unarmed black 17-year-old with nothing in his pockets but a bag of Skittles. That boy's name was Trayvon Martin. There are currently 24 states with Stand Your Ground laws in effect. New research indicates that states with Stand Your Ground laws have a 7 to 9% higher homicide rate compared to states without such laws. Another aspect of firearms laws currently under scrutiny in Washington is the ability to purchase certain types of weapons at gun shows, pop-up shops, or through private sales between citizens.
When as many as 40% of all gun purchases are conducted without a background check.
In Florida, I can sell you a gun on the street and it's completely legal.
You run into a lot of that at gun shows, outside in the parking lot, the side deal. But yes, it is legal to do that.
You know, I could have bought a gun from a guy who had it for 40 years, sold it to 10 different people. They're not going to trace that back. How are you going to keep track of all these guns that people are just selling and trading between themselves?
One came right here, and the other one I met in a gas station parking lot.
Did they just hand it to you out in the open?
We put it in the back of my pickup truck and tactfully looked it over and made sure it was what it was. And he had a gun and I had cash, so made a trade. So I'm here looking on Florida Gun Trader, see if there's any local deals to be had. Let's see. What we got here? Newport Richey. Yeah, this guy's real close to where we're at, so. Good. Does it come with anything?
So earlier today you found this Sig Sauer P238 Blackwood with night sights on Florida Gun Trader, and the guy got in touch with you, and we're about to go meet him in a parking lot.
Yeah.
And I don't know how shady of a deal, on a scale of 1 to 10, would you rate this?
9.5.
9.5?
Yeah, I mean, buying a gun 10 o'clock at night, a little suspect.
Yeah, you can't like go to restaurants after 10, buying a gun. Kind of interesting. What did the guy say to you on the phone?
He wants $550 at the minimum, and as long as I'm a Florida resident.
And that just means you got to show him an ID?
Yeah.
And he wants cash?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to ask you to ask him, for a receipt, maybe hint at that you may have some priors that you don't know. Are you okay with that? You going to be carrying?
Probably.
So let's go do this. This is kind of weird.
All right.
Within 30 minutes, we were posted up in a Lowe's parking lot, waiting for our sketchy deal to go down.
My phone was blowing up last night. I actually had to put it on vibrate while I was sleeping.
Yeah.
So,
cool.
Get it, somebody else will.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll take it.
Okay.
Drove all the way up here.
How'd it go down? Like you met him, shook hands?
We just shot the shit for a minute, and
Yeah.
then got down to business, showed me what he had.
Did it feel like you're making a drug deal?
Kind of.
Yeah, yeah. Why don't you show us what you got?
Little Sig P238, little compact carry piece. Perfect for like maybe the pocket.
Put it in your belt or something like that. It's a nice weight.
He didn't ask me for anything.
Not even an ID?
No.
Didn't even ask for an ID?
No.
What kind of guy did he seem like?
Little questionable.
Little quacky? Did he think that was weird? Did he hesitate at all?
He was a little hesitant.
But then he was like, fuck it, I got the cash.
Yeah, but he was like, okay. Once he signed his name and I signed my name, he said, this is a legal binding contract.
Is it notarized? Just like abortion, gay marriage, and other hot-button legal issues, it is nearly impossible to convince someone that his or her opinion about guns is wrong. even if somehow, in some bizarro dimension where martial law has been declared, the same people will keep stockpiling more and more until they are no longer available. Outside of stricter regulations on background checks and keeping guns out of the hands of the mentally disturbed, there is no easy answer to the firearms debate that will make everyone happy.